Rock ball on the track, boy.
Good day, my friends. Hello. It's so good to see you, connect with you guys. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you so very much. Welcome back to another episode of Book of Killian here on YouTube, Killian Weeks. I am your host. We are connecting with my guy, Matthew, the wizard, my wizard. Let's go. We're gonna get a little chats underway, see what's popping with this guy. Let me open this up. This is my first time doing this, so I'm going to see how this in fact all connects. So I'm gonna see if the interwebs are nice to me. Let's see. Join video, join without video. So we're not gonna go with video. We're connecting. So he's gonna let me in soon. Let's see how this goes. Hey, Tenali, thanks for being here. Jackie, thanks for being here. Matthew, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, no, I figured, blowing smoke. Hey, there he is. I see you. Let me just see. Hold on. Right, Hey, I got you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to set the screen up so it looks, you come through well. I need to maximize that, but so yeah, you're full screen on my stream.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, man, it's fantastic. I love it.
Good. How you doing today, my man?
I am very well, thank you for asking, my friend. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me turn on. I forgot I can just. All right, there I am. Look at that. I'm perfectly underneath you. I don't know if you can pick up the YouTube feed on the link, but I'm literally right underneath you. This works out so perfectly beautiful because I've never tried this. So I can help you do this on your channel as well, and then we can.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing, man.
Awesome.
Okay,
Very cool.
I'm here. I'm present. Show me your magnificent creation, my wizard.
My magnificent creation, huh? Let's see
Oh wait,
here.
sorry. How are you?
Well, I'm well. I'm doing well. It's been a hectic week, but Saturday, so I'm just kind of chilling out this morning. But we had talked. Well, you reached out to me this morning, and I did want to get back on and talk to you because I think we could go down a ton of rabbit holes
Right.
between the two of us. It kind of seems
For sure.
like that's the case for sure. And what I really didn't do, we had talked about like the ether a little bit, and we didn't really get into it, I think, as much as I had hoped we would have.
Well,
But
allow
so
me to
go ahead.
real quick. The thing that I felt out, and again, this was that episode was an exploratory chat to see where you and I were at, right? We're kind of
Sure.
jousting, right? Now that we have this common ground, my guy, I'm 100% aligned with your aspects. So the ether, unpack away.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, well, here, let me actually start with something here, a little bit different, and then we'll go over to the little diagram. But I think most people that are listening to you probably kind of understand a toroidal field a little bit. I just use whiteboard and Zoom to create it with basic shapes. Um, but so this is the conventional normie, uh, atom based, proton based, the ether doesn't exist science. And this is what they say an atom is. And they literally, this is a hydrogen atom. Now, a couple of things. So this is based on Niels Bohr's, model of an atom that we all saw in high school, sitting around, and Niels Bohr actually didn't, I think before he died, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure before he died, his thing about it was that his model he didn't think was right or correct.
Okay.
I know that they are also kind of starting to redefine protons and electrons because they're kind of figuring out that it's almost like it's a single force. I don't know enough about it to comment much deeper on that, but that's something that is worth looking into. And if I tried to explore that aspect at the moment, I'd probably mislead people because like I said, I don't know enough about exactly where they're going with that at the moment to talk about it much. But the bottom line is what in the discussion, I think between flat Earth and globe Earth, I honestly think it's a misnomer. I really think that at the base of it, the discussion is between the ether or atom-based science.
Okay.
And part of the reason that we have such a difficult time with some of the debate and some of the questioning and things like that is because the battlefield has been completely defined by this sort of really massively reductionist Einsteinian science.
Right.
And so it's essentially, they say if you can't quantify it, then it doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Right.
And that's not true. They know it exists. They have to use it. But right here, out of their own mouth, a hydrogen atom is about 99.9999996% empty space.
Right.
It's not empty space. It's empty space conceptually, but even conceptually, you can't argue the simple fact that space, as when somebody says it cannot exist. You can't have anything in existence that has zero properties, that cannot be acted upon or act upon anything around it. It makes no sense. It's so saying it's empty space is a complete absolute farce. It's a complete absolute lie. What it
My
is.
hands up. Do you see this? My hands up.
Your hands up?
My hands up. I have a question.
Actually, no, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, snap. That's right. Because you can't see me. My bad. Okay. Never mind that.
No.
Okay. So, but
Okay, go ahead with it. Yeah, go ahead.
I have an alignment. Have you ever watched the show Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember when White in his younger years I think he was the professor when he was working with the company.
Mhm.
right? Not a professor, but the researcher with the company, and he's at the blackboard explaining the theory of, I think, the human body or something like that. Can't remember the entire aspect of it, but he
Okay.
got down to the very definition and I guess the weight, and he said that there's a little piece missing, and he said that that was the soul. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So this
Okay.
is exactly, I see that explanation with what you're explaining here, with this remaining part that they consider to be empty, an anomaly, if you will.
Right. Probably. I mean, I think that that's on the right track.
Okay.
I think that it's more like the fabric. So no, I personally believe that everything that we see, that the entire physical world around us is holographic.
Okay.
To say to speak, that matter is created through magnetism and dielectricity, essentially. And so and then light itself, what we see as light. This is an interesting thing that Tesla brought up, and I think he was completely correct when he said this. If light were photons, if light were photons, which it's not, light is a reaction in the medium from the ether. It's a perturbation in the medium from the ether. Remember, we talked about like the ether draws lines this way, right? Not like this.
That's right.
And this is how atom science draws lines, but this is how nature does it. It boom comes like this.
Right.
A candle, a photon of light from a candle would be just as powerful as a photon of light from the sun, if light were photons. And just the simple fact of saying, oh, well, I mean, literally the only way you can quantify that to defend atom-based particle science is to say, well, there's just more photons from the sun. Okay, so how many more? How many photons are coming off of a candle? How many photons are coming off of the sun? You can't quantify it because it's fairy tale garbage. You're just literally, that's not been the subject of any scientific experiment ever. You can't tell me that we've got 30 million photons coming off of the sun and then you only have 30 photons coming off of a candle. What you have is you have a higher rate of induction from more intense light. And what the there's the law. It's the inverse square law. Are you familiar with the inverse square law?
Hell no, man.
Sorry.
No. It's okay. I mean, you're in your essence. The questions are piling up in the community from it. We gotta.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. If anyone's got a question,
sure.
yeah, don't.
Are you able to
interrupt me?
to see the where we got like 7 people watching us right now? But
Yeah,
are you able
I
to
can.
see the? Let's see here.
Light equals lack of a holograph. I'm looking at it on my phone.
Okay. So Tonelli said, "Are those planes we live on frequency dimensions?"
I don't have a 100% positive answer for it. I have my thoughts for it, and I can show you. Here, actually, I'll show you here right now. Hang on a second. So everyone's probably seen a toroidal field before.
Yes, Jackie knows this one well. Speak of Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Hi to everybody here too. I'm trying to follow along. I'm not super great at doing the live stuff. So if you come to my channel, it's all pre-recorded because I'm not super great at doing the live stuff. But
that's why you got me, man. That's why I showed up. Seriously,
I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Don't worry, man. I have no problem being the interface.
So when I've got this diagram pulled up, if you can see like the little cake looking cylinder that's kind of squatty in the middle.
Yes, sir.
We're going to pretend that this is a magnet. Okay. And this is the field that this magnet is creating around it. So what you have here on the outer edge of the magnet where it's white, this is actually where the magnetism lives. So it's not magnetic in the center. It's not, if ferrous rocks or ferrous metal won't stick to the center, they will be pulled to the edge because this is where the magnetism is. In between that very center is the torus. That's like the eye of the hurricane. Okay. Right. In between, right here, you've got this dielectric field that's happening between the between the torus, and between the magnetic pole. So consider this a little bit to be like, let's say something. Let's throw out a concept that is really ridiculous, but just might help. It might not be that ridiculous, but let's call it ridiculous so that way we don't get beat up for it. Let's say the edge of this, just for argument's sake, is like the ice wall around Antarctica.
Listen, bro.
What's that?
You're about to throw out some wicked science right now. I know, again, the comments or questions are piling in. However, this is the crux of stuff. Spill on, my guy. Go ahead.
Well, if and forgive me if I don't get to a question, but Killian, if you could help me, if you see a question
I'm gonna
interrupt
go
me.
in after you unpack this idea. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's just, for argument's sake, let's pretend that's the ice wall. That would be the South Pole. The South Pole is not necessarily below us. It's actually very likely above us. The very center here being the torus. What's happening in a magnetic field like this, which this I think is an apt diagram of the ether. What's happening in this magnetic field is at the very top, and this is normie science. Gamma radiation creates matter, and there's a flow between the magnetism and the dielectric field together, where all of this matter, the matter that's not ferrous, is actually accelerating towards the torus. And underneath the torus, what you have here is you have the plane of inertia, which is being formed. And the plane of inertia is really kind of where all life exists. And so really and truly, where the South Pole would be here, well, what we consider the South Pole, that's not taking into consideration the fact that a magnet is a torus and a hyperboloid, which are mirror images of each other, which really kind of also could be like north and south. Yep. But this is just conceptual, I guess, to kind of explain, because it's physically what is actually demonstratable. So what we would consider the South Pole could be actually above us, and the North Pole would actually be also above us, believe it or not, but closer to us. And if we are on the plane of inertia, which I believe that we are, we're actually like kind of underneath that, being collected in it.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Let me just read through some of the comments here, just to kind of edify a bit. So, being able to reach planes of existence based on okay, so Jackie had said being able to reach planes of existence based on vibrational frequencies. So that is exactly something that is what you just said, right? We're on this plane based on a level of attraction. Yep. Which makes perfect sense. Matthew, shout out, thank you so much. Friendly reminder to hit the thumbs up, like button, subscribe. Thank you so much, appreciate that. Indeed, I think another so Fireball. Indeed, I think the ether based is correct. And as to parts of the atom, there may be only one part that oscillates in frequency, popping in and out of existence.
So when you say one part, would you mean like a single force, I guess? Because it just to kind of clarify, because I think I agree with you. Right. I think it might be a little semantics there. Okay. But I don't think I disagree with that.
So it's the essence of the crux. So let's take, and this is an idea that I actually presented to a couple colleagues, and I said, okay, we all have north, and this is great because we can use this as a great teaching tool. So you have north, which is at the center here. And so we all have, let's say I'm over here, you're over here, and you and I both have compasses in our hands. Compasses, I don't know. We are going to be attracted to this part here. Now, by default, south automatically gets painted behind us. Right?
Okay.
But if you have north, which is the point, south is automatically behind you, right?
Okay. I mean, well, I mean, as far as like orientation or directional orientation, I'm trying to follow. I'm not
So if we
sure
both,
completely.
if you have a
But,
compass and you're over here, and I have a
mhm.
compass and I'm over here, and we're both walking to the middle, being attracted to north, being the middle,
Okay.
right? What I'm saying is, even if we were to walk around,
Oh, then yeah, if you're facing the point, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. South is always would always be behind you. I
right?
get what you're saying.
And what I'm
I
saying
got you.
is, by default, we paint this circle, right? Think of the outer
Hmm.
edge of a target, right, which forms this circle. And this is why I say the Antarctic Treaty, which is the opposite of the Arctic, which is here,
Right.
opposite being ant, south over here. Treaty, obviously, the circle, because they own our whole plane, right? The outer ring
Right.
of the
Right.
plane on this plane.
Right.
So, and that leads exactly to, so, okay, now that we've not rationalized, now that we've gotten down to hey, Fireball, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Thank you so very much for being here. He had to run out. All good. Um, sorry, there's another comment here. Oh my gosh. Distracting science, physical. Okay. Now, the built.
Magnetic push down both north and south are so to answer Teal Oris Chandler. So first off, if I speak like from a place of authority, it's I don't consider myself an authority at all, and so everything that I'm giving is a conceptual thought. It's not something that I'm trying to say that I know is factual, 100% true, although I think it's pretty accurate, and I do think it's demonstratable. I do think it's actually very demonstratable. But to answer your question, a push down would be kind of um, there is basically if you can all of nature would be force, resistance, permeability, magnetism, and dielectricity. So there's not necessarily something pushing you. You're moving towards all matter is going towards the torus. And so it's going towards the plane of least resistance. It's going towards the place where it's calm and where it's not like a big electrical storm kind of around you, sort of like the eye of a hurricane. One of the ways to understand gravity or what gravity is, if you look at the Cavendish experiment, which is done all the time, it's I think it's pretty flawed. It's going to work the way it works because what's happening is, with the atom-based science, they're saying it's not magnetism. When well, that's just not true. Everything is magnetism. It's just not ferrous magnets going towards the edge of that magnet. It's matter that is accelerating towards the torus. And part of understanding what's happening when you take a smaller object and it accelerates towards a larger object is look this up. And I did a video on this too, called Simple Entanglement. If you guys get on my Big Skinny Matthew channel, you can watch the video. I did some explanation of this, like a basic explanation of it. But there's a principle from a scientist who is this scientist has more patents than Tesla. He's the one that actually caused smarter than Tesla, much smarter than Einstein. His name was Charles Proteus Steinmetz. Steinmetz had his principle of incommensurability is really kind of key to understanding how things can potentially work within the ether. And so essentially what incommensurability is saying is that there are two types of phenomena. There is permanent phenomena and transient phenomena. Okay. And these really are permanent and transient only in relation to each other. So if I'm trying to, I guess a good way to explain it is so my television set, if my television set is a transient phenomena, because what it is, it's a complex system of transient phenomena that's matter that all comes from, where we're based in the ether. And then I play a movie on my television, right? And I don't want to get caught up in like the streaming and things like that, which is actually proof of the ether too. Like literally everything around you is proof of the ether. Refrigeration is proof of the ether. All of it is. But the actual image that you're looking at on your television is the transient phenomena to what its relative permanent would be, the television. Now, the television is not permanent. It's only permanent and relative to the transient phenomena. So when you get two objects close to each other, volume, the object that's greater in force, once it gets close enough to a smaller object, will kind of become like its permanent phenomena in relative to the transient of the smaller object. So if you take your hands and you put them together like this, and you kind of move it like this and back, this kind of gives you a little bit of a mental concept of the flow of like sort of the pulsation of the ether, and everything is just kind of moving towards it. Now, the amazing thing, and this is where religion or faith and things like that come into play, is that we're entangled in all of this. We're actually a product of it, but then we somehow also possess consciousness. And that consciousness, I think, is, when you look at Genesis 1, let there be light, and God spoke and said, let there be light. And you can take that one direction and talk about how that speech is a perturbation in the medium that creates light, which with sonoluminescence you can demonstrate, where you take a sonic frequency and you push it into water and it creates light. So God spoke and said, let there be light.
Okay, hold up.
Go ahead.
Now, can we park
Sure.
that idea? Because you brought up the word lumen twice, and you said light, which leads me into the second part of where I wanted to go with this discussion. Yeah. So, the ether, so far, we've comprised that gas is a composition of the ether, right? It's one part.
Yeah. It's a reaction of the ether. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then magnetism is another part of the ether.
Magnetism is a part of what's creating the ether.
Okay. Now, did you get what I just sent you via Messenger?
When did you send it to me?
Just sent it to you. It's a screen cap.
Oh, let me see here.
Because if you can take that image and then bring it onto screen with what we're looking at, because it's almost the same perspective.
Not yet, but let me open it.
Keep no stress. Take your time. Take your time.
So nothing came through yet, but keep going. I'll see if I can get you pulled up here.
Okay. So the let me think of it. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I'm scrambling. No, I lost it. Okay, sorry to cuss. Now, so the idea of water. You sent me earlier about, I think it was Job 38, was it? Mm-hmm. About the basin, or the base of the unpack that.
Job 38 says that the earth is being created like a stamp. It's like being pressed down like a stamp. Pressed on like a stamp. So that is what kind of like what it's all working together to create is pressure, and it's pressure that's full, and so it's like simple pressure mediation. I guess let me think here how to try to explain that. So
density, would density be
kind of, but it's not. See, we tend to take those things like density, and we tend to think of them in terms of that they're tangible things that we can we can pick up and manipulate and move. And what they kind of are is they're parts of their attributes of the ether. Okay, does that make sense? And so one of the attributes of the ether as a whole, as of all the fields unified together. So one of the things that I think is really stupid about particle-based science is they there you go. I got your picture up there.
Right.
One of the things that I think is really kind of stupid about particle-based science is they tend to well, okay, I just totally lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry. But yeah, it leads you to a place where you honestly, the crux of it is it leads you to a place where you believe that you're God and that you're creating what's happening around you. It causes you to not at all understand your entanglement in the realm. And so what you start doing is you start loving what is temporary, which would be, this flesh puppet that we live in, and you start abhorring what is permanent, which would be, the spiritual aspect of all reality. And the spiritual aspect of all reality, if physical reality is less than 1%, right? Then the spiritual aspect of all reality is actually everything. And everything that we're dealing with and handling is illusion. And so where matter is not, matter is, try to ask. So if you ask like a science professor or a physics teacher to explain what a field is, they're going to give you a whole lot of different, probably kind of stupid things, or it's electricity, it's blah 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 blah. But one of the things that they always miss is the fact that all of these fields are actually one field.
Yep.
And so it's actually called the grand unified theory, and that would work together to create just a consistent pressure, like something simple like an apple, where the core of an apple, if you eat an apple, it kind of looks like a toroid.
Yeah, it's toroidal field. Yeah.
And the flesh of the apple is literally the pressure mediation. And so it's just that, we are literally entangled within that whole system.
Right.
And so when I read that scripture and you said the basin, I think that's interesting. I'd like to hear more of your thoughts on that. When I read that scripture, what it makes me feel like is that the Bible's saying that everything is pressure mediation.
Yep. And that's what I'm leaning into, is the basic fundamentals of the universe that I think we're at, or at least from my understanding, is gas, lumens or luminaries, which is what I want to talk about as well, and water, really. I actually Earth, actually, because Earth would be the ultimate catch basin for all of it, right? Because you have the catch basin, which is the Earth. You have the water, which is another that's what it would be: Earth, water, and then the ether above, or sorry, the gas above that. Those would be the three essences as such that would make up, I guess, the composition. But in scripture, in Genesis, it talks about the luminaries. I looked up the definition of luminaries in, just Googled it, and it came up with a series of light, whatever. But the last part of it was especially the moon and the sun. So I started to think about, we've agreed that versus light bulbs. No, I don't even want to say that. But I'm going to say that the sun and moon act as candles in the environment. They light the gases that they interact with versus project light. What do you think about that?
I think that that's kind of, I think that's accurate for the sun. I think that the moon is the same as the sun, and I'll explain that in a moment. But yeah, I think what you're talking about is you're describing the perturbation in the medium, which creates light. So it's not where we create a source of light that creates photons magically, and then we point the photons at you, and then they start shooting rays at you. right, which is the current explanation, which the dual slit experiment destroyed that explanation.
Right.
The dual slit experiment proves God, proves the ether,
Right.
and they try to say, well, it means light is particles and waves. It's just fucking stupid. Excuse my language, but it's like one of the most retarded things I've ever heard. So what I think that now, this is just my thoughts. This is just where I'm at on this right now.
Okay.
Where I consider the moon. So the first thing is that God created night and day, and then created the sun, the moon, and the other luminaries.
Luminaries, right?
When you see those flat Earth people saying the moonlight's cooling, it's a misnomer. It's a misunderstanding of what's happening.
Okay.
What's happening?
I'm going to challenge you on this, but I really want to hear what you have to say. Let's go.
Well, no. Now, objects in the moonlight are cooler than objects in the shade.
Okay.
That is absolutely observable. That's true. It's observable.
Okay, great.
What you're seeing though is you see one of the things that okay, let me preface this too. I think that scripture, I think that a lot of different scriptures are kind of like a shorthand for the nature of our world. And when I see that day was created and then night was created, what I see are the two different poles, the two different diodes of a dielectric circuit.
Okay.
And the moon itself is radiation from the earth. And what you're seeing when you look up and you see the moon is you're seeing an X-ray image of the earth itself. Okay. And what you're seeing is as the sun, the luminary of the sun, the perturbation has gone to a different part. When it's left, you're seeing the cooling that's happening is radiation that is concentrating where the moon is, and it becomes a luminary, but it's that's where the flow of that energy is going. So again, it's like an S curve, right? It's out and in and out and in, and it's pulsating like that. Okay. And so it is absolutely correct to observe that objects in the moonlight are cooler than objects in the shade. But to say that the moon is shining down on them like the sun is shining down on the day, I think is incorrect. But you go ahead.
Hold on though.
I could be wrong.
Okay, but hold on. So let's just talk about when you say shining down. I think saying shining down implies that it's projecting light. Okay? What I'm saying is when we are and let's lily pad for a quick second. When we're in a room, a main living room, as an example. Hey guys, I hope are we okay on the feed? You can let me know if we're good on the feed. I hope we're not freezing. We're good. Jackie says we're freezing. We'll see. So if we're in the main room, which is the living room, and then we have a hallway off of that living room. Okay. We have a light which sits at the top of that living room. We turn that light on. The room is illuminated. That hallway also gets illuminated with what I would call secondary light or off light, whatever you want to call it. And that's where I start to entertain the idea that we are interacting with a gas. And I believe that, to go back to the sun aspect, lily pad back to the sun lights up and the sun interacts with the gases around it, between it, wherever it can hit, it interacts with those gases. And what those gases do are specific to where those gases are. So if I'm standing out in the middle of the sun, the characteristic of tanning, I guess you'd say, will be active within those gases, right? Direct illumination, direct illumination of essence of those gases. That's what we'll say. And then when I go around the corner of a building and I'm in the shadow, I can still read my book because the other characteristics of those gases have been illuminated, I guess, or activated. Yes, activated, which allow you to read your book in the shade, and you can cool off in the shade. Now, what I'm going to say is going
So
to
it's a series of reactions.
yes, going
Okay.
back to the moon premise. What I'm saying is that, this is where I say, if we can, I'll claim ignorance on this, but I'm gonna no, not
I don't
ignorance.
think you're ignorant. I think you're doing pretty good.
Okay, why would not the moon? Why would the moon not do the exact opposite? Because we have video proof of people checking the temperature in direct moonlight and in the shadows, right? So what I'm saying is, if the sun makes stuff hotter in its path, why wouldn't the moon make stuff cooler in its path?
Okay, so that comes from the point that you consider the moon to be a luminary. So the moon is producing light, is what you're saying. We're not real far off from what we're saying. I'm just saying that what I think that the visualization of the moon is we actually see the point with the sun. I guess to make it simple, with the sun you see the point of the perturbation that creates the light, and with the moon you see the point in which it leaves, which it actually leaves and gets to the edge of the ether, the edge of the realm, because there is a point where there has to be a 0 point. I mean, it's not going to go on infinitely, right? There has to be a 0 point. So you see with the moon, you see the point, I think, where it's actually leaving. And when you see that, what I am saying that I think you're seeing is you're seeing an emanation of the earth. I think that's what you're seeing when you look up at the stars. Is I think you're seeing like a negative image of the ether.
Well, yeah, I mean, you brought up in the prior chat, or not chat, but the prior section of a minute ago, you had mentioned the moon being an X-ray of the plateau of Earth, and that is exactly to the same. I subscribe to that theory as well, because we can see Australia clear as day at the 2-3 o'clock position.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Australia's like, here I am, sticking out like a sore thumb.
I'll tell you something really interesting that Intellectual Ketchup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Intellectual Ketchup's channel. That's my podcast partner on the Big Skinny Show.
Actually, can you give me sharing as well? So I can call. Can you give me sharing as well? I can call up images while you're talking.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate it. So yeah, that's what you're saying. That channel.
So yeah. Okay, you should be able to share now. So with Intellectual Ketchup's channel, one of the things that he's doing is one of his theories is that the flood, that what you see, like the big craters that are supposed to be meteorite craters, are actually from water sprouting up, coming up underneath, as in like the flood where the waters rushed up, the waters from below rushed up, and he's actually taking images of the moon and looking at them and trying to line them up, and quite a few of the craters on the moon actually line up with craters on Earth, which is, I think, pretty fascinating. And he's going to have that coming out pretty soon, which I'm excited to see.
Sorry, this might get a little choppy, guys. I'm just calling up the presentation, but bear with me. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it. I just want to make sure you're good on time.
I'm good. Yeah.
Appreciate it. This is so are you familiar with Vibes of the Cosmos?
I know who they are.
Okay.
I haven't watched it a lot, but yeah, I'm
you've
aware
taken in
of
their concepts.
Yes.
And that's the idea. So I'm just gonna pull up a simple image. If this thing will load. RAM is not my friend on this machine.
I hope my smoking doesn't offend anybody. It's a terrible habit that I don't want to give up.
No stress, my guy. All right. Am I able to share?
You'll be able to share. You should be able to. Yeah.
Where's my?
You got to go to the Zoom to share from the Zoom screen, though.
Bruh. Oh, snap. And I forgot. Can you send me
Oh, hang on.
Actually, no, you don't need to do that.
Oh, let me try that. Okay. See if you can now.
Yeah, 'cause usually you'll get the toolbar at the top that'll say share.
Is do you do you not do you see it yet? Do you see it now?
No, that was the only. Maybe it's. Oh, you know what? It might have me tied up.
Oh, okay. Because
Oh, you know what I can do? Jeez, I'm not even. This is what happens, man, when you get trapped in Windows. I don't have to share. I can just show you my screen. Jeez, disregard. Okay. If you're,
yeah.
are you watching on your phone?
Hmm.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Me, oops, slide this over. You get trapped in the internet. I've got Windows upon Windows upon Windows. I'm gonna block you out. Okay. This should drop
Daisy
in.
said she can't smell my cigarette here, so we're all good. You know what? It's an American Spirit, and it doesn't smell nearly as bad. It's actually aromatic and smells kind of good. So
That's awesome.
it's,
Is this gonna go? I think we're good.
I can see you there. I can't see you on mine, but
You can see on
but
your
I
phone,
can see
right?
it. Yeah, but on your stream, we can see it. Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, that's what we're saying is Australia right here.
Oh wow,
This
that's
guy right
crazy.
here. That's what I'm saying is Australia. Because
That's crazy. Yeah.
then when we flip this over, because the moon would be an inverse image, right? It would be flipped over because
Yeah,
it's over a
it'd be a
distance.
mirrored image. Yeah.
Exactly,
Hmm.
right? So you flip it over, and then what they did was they took the dark spots and flipped them to green, and the blue to show the white. So you'll end up with this breakout of the land masses. So you start to see again Australia over here,
Okay.
down in the corner,
Oh my God.
and then you've got the Americas over here, right, North and South America, right, with the
Okay.
Caribbean Strait. And then see this is where because you said the word X-ray, and this is where my mind went because we've been throwing around this idea. And shout out to my shirt, Nerd Square today. Holla back at you, boy. Um, this middle piece being on the underside of our plane, right? So if it's an X-ray, which would be the two sides of a plane, then you start to get the idea that potentially this would be the underside of the plane that we're on. Does that make sense?
Are you describing like there's two sides to a flat Earth, like a pancake? Or,
Yeah, so you've got here, because if
hmm.
you've got here, actually, oh my gosh, geez, it's on the next, it's literally on the next slide. Think that. Here's the section. There we go. I'll make it big. So that's what I'm saying. If you can imagine, so we visualize the moon on this plane, right? We're up here, and
Mhm.
then that would be the underside. So that landmass would actually be on this side, but when we see the actual visualization of the moon,
Mhm.
it ends up being you see both sides of the same coin, so to speak.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to sit with that one for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot
I'll have
to
to sit with that one for a
unpack.
little bit.
It is a stream, a lot to unpack. But once you actually, and I know it sounds crazy, once you see Australia, all of a sudden it becomes you can't unsee it. If that makes sense.
Gotcha.
That was
Gotcha.
it.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. I got what Jackie's saying too. I believe it helps you commune with nature. I think that was the for sure the intent of it. I smoke a pipe too, but I need to get some more pipe tobacco. Um, but not to change. All right.
Love it.
Looks like we're freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think we're good. I'm really pushing my system resources to the max today. I'm seeing how it goes.
I'm gonna
And
share
see
something. I'm
if we
gonna share
maintain.
something on my screen just so I'm
Yeah,
not
please,
taking
man.
up your whole screen,
No,
and
no, no.
makes me feel weird.
I appreciate you, dude. Yeah, and you know what with FTE and the boys, I call them all big head, right? Because they always have their screens on maximum
Okay.
when they first intro and they're talking and stuff. I'm like, oh, big head. But it's just being, as you say, being conscious, right? It's like I don't want to be the only person in the room and being the idea. So I totally hear you, man. I
Yeah.
enjoy this because and again, we've never done this before, so it's totally an exploratory,
Sure.
informal technology, finding out what our technology can do and how it does it.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, and I know, and I just feel I get in there, and I've looked at OBS, and I've used StreamYards before. I can't, for some reason you're still sharing here, so I don't know what's going on with that.
I'm
But
still sharing.
well, I still have the screen set up for you to share.
Oh.
So I don't have, and I did that to myself.
Oh, okay.
I did that to myself somehow.
Okay.
I'm kind of, I'm not great with the technology here.
That's all right, man.
So,
No worries at all.
um, yeah, it's one of those things that the technology kind of bores me. So it's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that when I kind of get into it, I just kind of start going. My eyes start to glaze over a little bit, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to do this.
I got you, man.
But okay, well, anyway, it's not going to do that. So I guess you're just going to get.
No, that's cool. I flipped it. I changed it over to my. Did you ever listen to the Wu-Tang Clan growing up? Yeah, I just flipped it over to my Wu-Tang Clan screen drop or whatever you want to call it background. So it's just a big W and us talking. So it's no stress, man. All good. Um, no, I'm not. Okay.
You put a magnet to it, and it causes the what happens is the it shows the magnetic field, and it shows the toroidal field, and you actually can see, if you set it right and you put the magnet on its side, so it's kind of in the middle, you'll be able to see the torus, and you'll also be able to see the hyperboloid. So you can literally physically see what could very well be creating the world that we live in, and it gives a really good um, visualization of the concept. And I'm less interested. I'm one of those people with the flat Earth, globe Earth debate. I'm less interested in talking about the shape of the Earth as I am in talking about the realm that we live in. And one of the things that I've said to Globers that pisses them off, and they want to call me a liar,
Right.
is that Globers believe that we live in an enclosed realm.
Right.
And they absolutely do. And because if you look at, and I think this is one thing I've seen in a flat Earth argument many times, talking about the second law of thermodynamics, which would be entropy, which essentially talks about the simplex pressure mediation. And essentially what it's saying is that you can't have a pressurized and unsealed pressurized environment next to a vacuum.
That's right.
Well, a true vacuum doesn't really exist. A true vacuum would be completely devoid of all would be completely devoid of any attributes. So it's space.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be acted upon, or you can't act on anything, right? So
Right.
if I have an empty lot next to my house, that's empty space, but it's not space because you can go and build a house on there. But if it's something that can have no properties whatsoever, no attributes, then it can't exist. It's not a hard concept to get, but it is. But once you get it, it really kind of helps to clarify things. And so, what's the answer that the NASA fanboy gives you when you say that the Earth can't be a pressurized environment spinning around in a vacuum? What they tell you is, oh, it's just a gradient pressure, right?
Right.
Okay, so where does that gradient run out?
Gravity.
But where does it run out? You can't have a pressure gradient that just infinitely goes down.
Well, I use the concept of the hot air balloon, right? When the hot air balloon goes up in the sky, at what point do you get to observe, when does the magic leash let go?
Right, exactly. You're exactly right. So at what point does that pressure gradient run out? And the reality of it is you can't answer that question at all. You can't answer that question without admitting that we live in an enclosed realm.
Right.
Period. And that realm, I think, is all an attribute of the ether. And so, like we talked about the firmament, I think that's I don't have any issue with with the biblical description of the firmament, and with the way that a lot of the flat earth diagrams that I've seen, kind of talk about the firmament and show the firmament and say it's a physical thing, somewhere where we can't get out, we can't leave. But the bottom line is what are the proofs of flat earth? Like what would you say are proofs of flat earth?
Myself?
What would you say? You say this is evidence. Like if you had, go ahead.
Here's what happened this week at the office. My manager came by my desk, and he's points at two diagrams I have pinned up on my cubicle wall. He's like, "So what are you trying to show us here, Kill?" So I said, "I think the Earth is flat." And when I say I think, right, I'm being a little catty and saying
you got to be careful
doing the cat and mouse. Exactly.
You got to be careful. Yeah, I understand.
So then he goes, and he starts laughing. He's like, "You're one of those flat earth guys, huh?" And I said, "No, let's be clear. I believe in what he created on the second day as a God-fearing man. And understanding what he created on the second day allows me to unpack the idea that the earth is flat." Bro, I left it right there. He looked at me and I'm like, "Have a good day, man." And I just left it at that. I'm not about to engage, because when you get down to the absolute bottom, you have to start throwing gloves with them at that level, and I can't. I don't have the energy for that, right? Because you just pile on you at that point.
And it's not it's not fruitful. It's again, it's like you have to step into this world where you have to cut out 99.996% of reality and talk about less than 1% of reality, which they still don't even understand.
Yeah.
and it's like, it's bad. It is very bad. But then you watch any of the discussion or any of the debate or anything like that, and it's not about putting forth ideas and demonstrating those ideas and talking about concepts that could be tested. It literally is just abuse. It's abusive. It's predatory.
Shaming.
Exactly. It's like we put the dunce cap on you.
Yeah.
And so that's on my channel. What I do when I get trolls a lot, and that, whatever, I don't care. What I have a policy on my channel, and I call it the troll toll. And basically what this is if you come and you troll me, then that's fine. I'm going to give you one more chance. If you want to have a discussion, we don't have to agree. We can have discussions. Right. If you want to troll me again, then before you can speak to me or on my channel, or before I don't just block your ass, is you need to define what flat earth is first, and then tell me why it's wrong.
Right.
Because you can't do both. And I know you can't even define it. I mean, then that's where I'm just saying, show me what weird presupposed straw man that you're coming with right now. It's all just different variations of that stupid meme that says if the earth was flat, cats would have knocked everything off the edge by now. You know what I'm saying?
Like a point.
And the reality of it is I actually think flat earth is a deception. And now I'm not saying that the earth is not flat. I'm saying that I think flat earth, as defined, as it is argued, is a deception. I think it's a false dichotomy to push people back towards the globe. Do you remember in school when we were taught that people used to think the earth was flat, and then Christopher Columbus was really smart, and now he thinks the earth is a globe and he can sail around it, and Christopher Columbus proved, and then it's just garbage. It's just crap. I don't think that there's any evidence that shows that pre-Copernicus people thought the Earth was flat. I
Right.
think that they thought it was a geocentric universe and that we lived in an enclosed realm, which cannot be disproven. And
Uh,
so,
geocentric. Well, wait, isn't geocentric globe?
no, geocentric, like no, heliocentric is
Heliocentric.
globe.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Geo,
I'm so sorry. I
yeah.
apologize. Right,
I
geocentric.
mean,
Geo
maybe
being ground.
I
No,
could
no, no.
I could have said it wrong. I could have said it
You're.
wrong,
I
but
think you're right because of the fact that geo is ground, right?
right
Geocentric is ground, and helio is to spin. So
is
heliocentric would be yeah. So geocentric would be correct. And thank you
mhm.
for provoking thought on that because we're able to figure it out.
Well, one of the things, if you go back and you listen, you read like Aristotle and stuff like that, the seven wise sages of Greece or whatever, Thales, Thales of Miletus, and this is something I keep meaning to do some more exploration into this.
Right.
Thales of Miletus is the first person recorded accurately predicting a solar eclipse,
Solar eclipse, right?
and it was during a war in Babylon between the Lydians and the Medes, and I'm probably saying the names wrong, but he predicted the eclipse without knowledge of conventional lunar cycles
Right.
that we follow. Now, do I know what is causing the eclipse? Well, I know that I don't for one second believe that it's the moon outside of the Earth's atmosphere, or in the pressure grid, the low end of the pressure gradient, or whatever they're trying to say at this point,
Right.
moving around the Earth and then going in front of the sun. I don't believe that, but there has to be what it does show, and what the rotation of the stars shows is that there has to be a movement or a flow in the ether. And to me, it seems very, it makes a whole lot of sense that if Thales had knowledge or understanding of that, then he could very well have used that to track and map out and predict the eclipse. Just because the flow, it's like it's happening the same all the time, and kind of again, what I'm saying is it's not a globe spinning around, rocketing through space and all the fantastical garbage that they tell, but it's just pulsating, it's moving like this, pulsating.
Yeah, in and out.
Yeah,
Breathing.
and
Well,
absolutely.
I think the breathing aspect is important to understand too, because I think the Schumann resonance. If correct me if I'm wrong, but Jackie would know something about that too in the chat. Schumann resonance be the aspect of the in and out, right? The breathing, and then with that comes the toroidal field of the in and out through the body, right?
Sure.
Which wax on, wax off.
which is a good thing that demonstrates what you're talking about there too, is how it very likely works the same. It demonstrates incommensurability, the Steinmetz principle of incommensurability, which is also,
Actually,
by the way,
sorry, this way though. I realized, right? To be clear, sorry, I'm doing the motion with my hands, but to be clear, the energy would be coming up through. If we were to take the human body, if we can talk about, are you familiar with chakras?
Sure. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the energy would be coming up through the root and exiting through the crown.
Okay.
Right, toroidal field.
Okay, sure.
Right, that's how I see it. It's like two circles joined together, and you have the man would be the toroidal field, and he has these energy loops that are coming out and circling back through the root, up through the crown, back around and up again.
Yes, and what you're kind of explaining right there too is where I think you see the moon form is part of that flow.
Whoa, that's huge. What?
Yeah.
Wow. You just created a whole lot of space.
I created a whole lot of space.
Yeah, when somebody says something and you're like, "Well, wait a minute," because that's a powerful statement. If you start to think about the moon being created as a toroidal field,
it's part of the field. It's kind of part of it, because the Terra, because the terra firma itself, like the diagram that you sent with the vortex, and then
Yeah.
it's got the Vesica Pisces
Vesica
at top.
Pisces at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, the terra firma itself is just an attribute of the of the ether of the toroid, right? And so you're not so if we lived in a big apple, we're not living in the flesh of the apple. We're living in the center of that toroidal field,
Right.
in the very center where the seeds are.
Right.
There's that's where all of the vitality is going, because it's like the resting point. It's like the eye of the
Man is
the eye
the
of the hurricane.
seed of the apple.
Yep.
Whoa, you just said it.
Yep. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Really
But
did, dude.
that's where. But if you think about it, though, we talked about um, uh, what was Fireball mentioned? He made a couple comments about the inverse square law. What the inverse square law really when you boil it down to what it's actually saying, is potential is in the counter space. Okay, so
Right.
so when there's a lot of counter space, and there's a little tiny bit of potential, that little tiny bit of potential is extremely powerful.
Right.
And when it's released into the counter space, that's where the intensity of it goes down as the illumination of what it's illuminating, for lack of a better term, goes up.
That makes sense.
So like a flashlight, right?
Yeah. Well, you're filling the void, right? You're filling the
Yeah.
void with like idle hands are the devil's workshop.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
So-
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
There, I guess you could that could work towards there. But think about, so let's say I have a friend. Let's MLM marketing is a fascinating way to highlight incommensurability. Okay. So if I am at the if I bring you, Killian, I say, okay, we're going to sell Amway. And so I'm going to get Killian, and I'm going to get 10 other people, and I'm going to sell you toilet paper, and then you're going to turn around and sell it to other people.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So, but if I quit selling toilet paper, then all of a sudden you don't have toilet paper to sell. And I'm using toilet paper. Just, I don't know why. Just because,
the shit would roll down hills.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. We'll pretend I meant to do it that way. But if I quit providing it for you, then you would not be able to provide the toilet paper anymore.
For the rest.
So then your butt, and then it continues to propagate on to where the end of it. And so the permanent would be me, the person that's providing the toilet paper to everybody else, and then you would be transient, just in relative to me as the permanent, but you become permanent to the people you sell it to,
right,
who then become transient to you. This works in electricity. It describes why people behave the way that they do, why people try to idolize celebrities, especially when you're young. You want to be rich like them. You're grasping at what you think is permanent and what you think is greater than you. Yeah. And what you're not doing is you're not actually facing the void, for lack of a better word, and becoming your own permanent phenomena. One of Cagliostro, one of the really fascinating things that ties into, I think human behavior, if the principle of incommensurability is true, that means what would happen if you left our realm is you would actually become like a god. If you were able to, you actually would.
Okay.
And now, or you would cease to exist.
Okay.
One of the two would happen. I personally think you would cease to exist. But I firmly believe that there are a lot of people who think that then they become like God, like a god. In fact, I know there are, because I know Mormons, and Mormons believe that. And, a lot of people believe that. But have you seen the symbol for what's called the Philosopher's Stone? And are you familiar with the Philosopher's Stone and that concept?
No, please, you go right ahead with it.
So it comes from alchemy.
Okay.
And it is You'll hear something. There's something called Ormus that you can find now that is, I guess, similar to it. It might be the same thing. I don't think it's real, but essentially, what the the attempt of the Philosopher's Stone is to create an elixir that a person could ingest, that a person could drink, that would tune their body to complete positive charge only. And so it would take out the negative charge, and so they would not they wouldn't age like you age. You would live longer, and there could be situations where you could actually somehow manipulate this outside of your body, and so you would live outside of your body infinitely. Wow. Now, I don't think you can do that. I think the ultimate attempt to that would be to live outside of your body, outside of the ether in the realm, kind of creating your own. Jackie said, "I've taken it. It's
monatomic gold.
So is that Ormus, Jackie, or is that Philosopher's Stone?
Jackie's got crystal stuff on lock. She's the crystal lady.
Awesome.
Crystals.
So yeah, but so she knows what I'm talking about.
Well, and that's another thing that the three of us should do. The three of us should connect for a chat as well. Now that
Ormus.
I realize
She
this
said
can
Ormus.
work.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think she's got some pretty cool stuff to add for sure.
Yeah.
But well, see, yeah, that's she said yes, Ormus. Okay, and so that's yeah, and I think I don't know if it's exactly the same as what you read Cagliostro write about with the Philosopher's Stone, but they're different forms. Okay, awesome.
Yo, I didn't say hey to Raj. Raj is here. Yo, Raj, good to see you. Thanks for being here, my guy. So very sorry, man. Jackie, Raj, myself, you. I think we could do some damage on an energetic type chat. Talk about keeping and positive energies and all these different things. But with respects to the Sorcerer's Stone, so this is something that is believed to have superpowers, if you will.
Yeah. Jackie seems like she knows about it quite a bit, but yeah, it's believed that that it would allow a person to basically live in their ego as a disembodied spirit. So to me, it makes it sound like you could become like a demon.
Yeah, that sounds really messed up.
It does. And, we can't get too far into the hang on. There's certain things that we can't get too far into on YouTube when it comes to,
Tenali asked the question though. So do we affect the ether? Which is a great question.
Do we affect the ether? So we affect our transient. We affect the transient phenomena that can fall within our realm of effect, but that transient phenomena is not permanent until it creates its own transience. So your child would be your transient phenomena, and then your child becomes a permanent phenomena when that child creates their own child. Which, by the way, is part of the reason for the attack on families too, is because it helps to consolidate power for the families that don't get attacked.
Under the nuclear family under attack.
Absolutely.
So the idea that Tenali put forward,
like a conduit, exactly like a conduit. As a matter of fact, that comes from, check out Charles Proteus Steinmetz's principle of incommensurability. It's absolutely based on an electric circuit. It's pretty interesting, and if you have like some electrical knowledge, it'll make a lot of sense. So sorry, Killian, I mean to cut
no worries, it's all good. The idea of I explain people the idea of the ether being a river. Everybody's in the river. You're having a good day. Everybody's swimming with the river. Collective consciousness. You're in the flow.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a bad day and try to decide to swim upstream, but the energy that you'll end up expelling in trying to swim upstream is pointless, right? So it's the idea, if you go with the flow, collective consciousness, ride the wave, right? Because it's easier to ride the wave than it is to try to go the opposite way, man. And if you can't do it, take a time out, swim over to the shores and chill out.
There you go. There you go. Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's I think that's a pretty apt way to put it. What one of the one, again, and the dual slit experiment is pretty interesting too, because I assume everybody's familiar with the dual slit experiment, or at least to some level of it. Essentially, the crux of it is for some reason they did this experiment where they were trying to shoot, and they think they're dealing with photons. So they say they're shooting a photon of light through a slit in a screen, and then acting how it reacts when it comes out, on the other end of it. And then they created another slit, and they want to see how it reacts. And all of a sudden, it becomes two photons, which is stupid. It's stupid. And then they say then it interferes with itself on the other end of it, and it gets completely twisted. And then they further go and add an observer to it, and they say that adding the observer to it changes how it behaves. And this is where I think where I always say that I think Scripture is shorthand for the world that we live in, and for understanding the world that we live in. Okay. When I first saw this and listened to the conventional explanations of it, the first thing I said, well, okay, so you're saying that photons of light exist as particles and waves, or can exist as both? Okay, a wave is not a noun. A wave is not a thing. The ocean is not waves. Waves happen in the ocean. The ocean isn't waves. It's stupid. So that doesn't make any sense. But there's so many. It's amazing to me how many people just go, oh, okay, I heard that from somebody that I think has authority, so they must be right, even though I don't understand it and it doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to go ahead and co-opt my mind out to this person because they know better.
Right.
And that's the only way that you can accept those things. I mean, and so I could never accept that. But what I went back to when I saw that, I was like, no. And then another conclusion of the dual slit experiment is that the observer creates the way, or the observer dictates the way the photons behave, which essentially means that you're God.
Well, you're walking in with a preconceived notion.
Right. Exactly. And so if you believe, what my first thought about it when I really understood it was like, well, no, the light is creating you as well. You're the observer, and you're also being created by the same thing that's creating that light. And that's where you don't understand. So you think that you're creating it, when as a matter of fact is you're being created, with it at the same time. So one of the things about Christianity that I think is really, really completely spot on is that you are already there. Like if I'm a Christian and I've accepted Christ as my savior, I'm perfect at that point. Mm-hmm. I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect. I'm perfectly aligned with God. I'm already there. There's nothing else that I need to do to become that. And the reality that I think is that that's kind of already the truth. Whether you accept Christ or not, you're going to be aligned with what you're aligned with, and accepting, being a Christian is bringing you into alignment with the Creator. But everything is the Creator. It's just, where are you going to end up, with that Creator at what point?
And that takes me right back to when Jesus said, "It is done." Mm-hmm. Right, because that was
did our live stream end?
I
think the live stream ended.
No, we're good. We're still live.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's just us in the corner talking. I was able to finagle our little setup, so it was you set up the screen great, just as you're doing your thing, so it's all good. We do have a question. Okay. Tenali asks, so can we go up? So can we go up plane levels with an anti-gravity magnetic device?
Well, I think like an anti-gravity magnetic device. So can we?
And actually,
when we talk about,
hold on, I can take that. Tenali, think of the TR-3B. So the TR-3B, the triangular craft, which can zigzag, high-speed maneuvers, all that stuff, that actually works on the premise of canceling gravity. So that thing hovers and flies under the premise of it cancels, quote, gravity out. Right? Now, That is the question. When I say gravity doesn't exist, I apologize. Cancels out the forces acting upon it. Does that make sense?
Are you asking me if that makes sense, or
Sorry.
I
Okay, here's the thing. No, oh my gosh. Okay, no. This is where I messed up. And here I messed up. The question states, can we can we go up a plane levels with an anti-gravity magnetic device? Now, does here comes the question. Does gravity exist in our explanation of the universe, or our explanation of the earth?
um, well, I mean, I think that comes down to like, again, I think gravity is the right observation. If I jump off the chair, I'm damn well going to hit the ground,
Okay.
right? I think it's the wrong explanation. The explanation of gravity is that it's mass, that mass attracts mass. And what I'm convinced is happening is that it's an acceleration towards the torus. It's I think we have a tendency to make some of these things much more complicated than they really are.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm
Yeah,
wondering is if gravity is actually just a form of magnetism, and we only have to look at it
yeah,
from the principle of magnetism and the
absolutely.
gas of the ether. We can just forget about anti-gravity. So what I was gonna say, because Tenali's question had two principles in there, and when you're
Yes.
discussing science, we can use gravity. When we're discussing creation, we have to use magnetism, because creation is magnetism,
Okay. I
right?
mean, yeah, we can talk about it like that. It kind of doesn't matter what you call it, but I
Okay,
get you. Yeah,
I
yeah,
got you. No, I just it's to be able to classify these things. So getting back to the idea
I'm
of the
with you.
TR3B, which is, as they say, these unidentified flying objects which can move at high speeds and everything. Nikola Tesla, believe it's the Nikola Tesla technology where these things, these vehicles, are able to cancel the forces that are acting upon them and move within the space that they're in.
Well, that's what's happening when you see a big magnet, like in a junkyard. You see a big magnet come down and pick up a car.
Right?
It's not that it's sucking the car up to it. It's what it's doing is it's putting it in its own field of influence, which then in and of itself basically pulls the car towards the torus of the magnet, because it's creating more powerful torus. And so the car then starts going towards the lowest point, or the eye of the hurricane, which then happens in the other direction. But yeah, with that question is a really good question too. Um, he is talking about two things, and I think what's really interesting about that is it brings into play NASA. Like what I see with NASA and a lot of this garbage is what they're actually hiding is they're actually hiding the ether. And I don't believe in aliens, extraterrestrial life coming from other planets.
Right?
I don't think that that's actually possible. And I also think that a good amount of evidence towards the aliens being a deception is the fact that you're seeing it in the mainstream media all the time. You're seeing, like, you would turn on Fox News and you see Tucker Carlson looking all concerned talking about aliens,
Right?
right? We got to be worried about this. Yeah, yeah, okay. And what's actually happening is they're using NASA to fleece us for $60 million a day in tax money,
Right?
and B, they're using it to create this illusion that we're putting people on bottle rockets, on very nice bottle rockets, but we're
Yeah.
putting people on bottle rockets, and it's essentially an explosion and shoving them up into space.
Yeah.
And then but then like you're talking about the craft that you just talked about. Then they're like, oh yeah, stuff like this, or things that we see that are kind of being shown to us bit by bit that's alien, is actually just technology that uses the ether to its advantage and uses knowledge of the ether to its advantage and the differences in the pressure mediation, and creates its own thing. One and I'm getting ready to pop out of Facebook with some of these flat Earth groups. I get into them for fun sometimes, and just kind of to see, see what's going on and see what people are saying. And
Right.
but there's so many trolls in there, it's ridiculous. I feel like that they're like run by people like Craig from Fight the Flat Earth, and he just sits there all day and creates different profiles and tries to get
people riled up,
tries to find the low hanging fruit and see if he can get them on his show, and then make them look
beat
stupid.
him up. Yeah, because
right,
apparently
exactly.
he's making cash, right? And that's the whole the show aspect of things, right?
It's very lonely when you tell the truth, and it's even lonelier when you tell the truth and you're a dick. And the inverse of that is if you're making up a bunch of lies and you're and then you're teaching a bunch of other intellectually dishonest people how to get chemical rewards off being a dick, then you have all the people in the world around you.
Yeah, sensationalize the lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sensationalize the lie and let's go.
Absolutely, that's just it, because you can't. We prove gravity as example. We prove gravity because we do the Cavendish experiment over and over and over again, and it's not coming from a presupposition. It's just that it happens the same way every time. And what we're doing is proving gravity, even though it's not proof of gravity. It just fails to disprove gravity. But we're going to keep doing the same experiment over and over again and say that we're doing science. And when my kids were young, I bought them a toy fucking barbecue set. And my son would sit out there with me while I was barbecuing, and he would play on his toy barbecue set and be like, "Look, Dad, I'm barbecuing."
Right.
That's exactly what you're doing. They're not scientists. They're mathematicians that mathematically define a sliver of creation, a sliver of all creation. And then they try to justify everything that it fits in there. And it's so amazing how easily they just like, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense anymore now that people are starting to figure that out. So, like the biggest trick is just to move it further away.
Yeah. Right.
That's the same thing with exactly. It's the same thing with saying, well, space isn't a perfect vacuum. It's a pressure gradient. We never said it was a perfect vacuum. Yeah. Well, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. In fact, that's the whole basis of orbit.
Right.
The whole basis of orbit is that you shoot something up in there and it's falling, but then it's being sucked back by the vacuum at the same time. That's the reductionist explanation of orbit from Werner von Braun, who actually used the word centrifugal force.
Centrifugal force.
And now they're calling it centripetal force, which essentially is going to be the same thing, except for the fact that centrifugal force is a property of magnetism.
Oh. Yeah, that's actually right.
Yep.
That would make total sense.
Yep.
Okay. Here's the last thing I want to ponder, and then I'm going to go. Dinner time for me.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, it is getting late.
How does a rocket ship work in the vacuum of space if it has nothing to propel against?
Well, it wouldn't, and it can't, because space can't exist, and so that's where that's where they get into the it's a pressure gradient, so it's just less pressure, but there's still pressure there. Okay. And so what they're creating is they're saying that it doesn't violate the second law of thermodynamics, which is entropy, because it just happens really far away.
Right. Our small little minds can't conceptualize what's occurring.
because it happens way over there, and that's what they're saying. And like you said, you're absolutely right. They're just continuing to put you in a box and bring it down slower. And I can actually show you some of the things that Kabbalah teachers are talking about, which to me is just screams that we're dumbing you down, and we're dumbing you down further. And they're talking, and it's trying to create a world where they're mentally sucking you into a simulation. And that's kind of where you get to, and the crux of the globe argument too, is if you push too hard at it, first off, they can't answer where the pressure gradient ends, because according to their definition of it, that pressure gradient would have to have an end. And at the point that it ends, you're either violating the second law of thermodynamics, or you're saying we live inside an enclosed realm. Now there's a bunch of other stupid explanations for it. You could be like, oh no, there's other planets and they're holding your pressure in. Well, then you're still saying we live inside an enclosed realm.
Right.
You're still, I mean, there's, it doesn't matter how you twist it.
Yeah.
You're still saying the same thing over and over and over again. And you're just bringing a bunch of bullshit, painting a bunch of bullshit in front of it and saying that, things are true that are absolutely not true. One of the most horrible things that's happening right now too, and you can look this up, is they're selling these cheap telescopes. So you can go out there and you can stick your smartphone on it and then you can look up at the moon. And then the smartphone has literal artificial intelligence in it that corrects the image. And it's creating the image.
A false universe for you to play in.
Yes, and exactly. And you can there's article upon article how Apple does this with their iPhone, how they use AI to make images better. And I mean, I've gotten into arguments with some of these people about that too. They're like, well, it just makes the image better. And I'm like, okay, well, you're assuming that better means more accurate. And I'm telling you, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you've made it less accurate by changing it. And you're actually arguing that changing the image makes it more accurate, which is, once you have reached that level of sheer stupidity,
ignorance.
Just that level of sheer ignorance, sheer stupidity, I can't talk to you anymore because it's just not fruitful. It's just fruitless.
Then I experience cognitive dissonance, right? I blow a fuse, and then we're just sitting there like two people with blown fuses, which is, well, you're not going to connect any circuits with two blown fuses.
But and then let's hop off real quick. But to fully answer the question about manipulating gravity and using magnetism to go up higher in the ether, I think that's correct. And I think that the way you can view that is look at how a submarine acts as it's going down into the ocean and completely inverse everything. And once you get past a certain point where the environment is getting the pressure mediation is getting less, then at that point, that kind of gives you an idea of how I think how to answer your question, what I think that's how you can kind of start to view it. And I think you can unpack from there, like Killian says a lot, you can unpack from there, like how that might actually work.
Yeah. Theory of observation, right?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of the pressure, instead of creating a pressure bubble that pushes out against the pressure that would be crushing you, you create a pressure bubble that pushes in, and you create your own little transient ether that you can survive in.
I think the idea of a falling piece of paper, right? That piece of paper is just looking to find its zero point, its equilibrium.
Yes.
Right. So when I'm on a set of stairs, as an example, I'm on the ground, and then I start going up the stairs, and I finally get to, say, the roof of that place. I have just seeked out and found my new cancel point. Right. I've gone from the stairs up 5 flights, top of the deck being my 0 point, now looking out over the plateau of Earth, whatever. Anyways. Mm-hmm. Appreciate you, man. You.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And then, real quick, can I ask, Tealoris, what do you mean by a different plane?
But to a different plane. So, with maybe Tenali's thinking within the level of the 3D plane, because you can't escape the 3D plane. That would be like we're on this plane and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, so it'd be like a cartoon character jumping off the screen and sitting in the audience and watching the show with you.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
So anything outside of this ether, you can't. You are a creation of the ether, and you can't exist outside of it.
Yeah.
No matter what you do. Now there are as far as like different like areas or space inside of the ether. Oh, I see the planes that you showed at the beginning. So that what that's kind of highlighting is actually an hourglass, and at the center of the hourglass where it's the tightest in the middle, that's where the rest is, and that's where the plane of inertia actually starts to form and come out from there. I would check out I'm not, I don't look at Jane cosmology. Jane cosmology is really interesting. And the model of the Jane universe with the Jane cosmic man is actually kind of similar. Um, if we're using the energy to rise vertically, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, man. That I don't know. That'd be interesting. If y'all want to contact me, I'll put up my contact information here. But you can go to you can find me on Facebook, or you can Big Skinny Matthew is my YouTube channel. I'll put up my email address there too. So y'all can contact me with questions like that. I would like to find out more about what you're asking, because I think that you're trying to highlight something, and I think it's probably pretty interesting. And so I'd like to get more of your thoughts on it for sure.
The big thing with it comes in with meditation and achieving higher levels of essence and being and things of that nature, is being able to channel that energy, as I was talking about, in through the root, out through the crown. And that's what the process of meditation gives you. It gives you that ascension and the ability to rise higher and have these awakenings. And that would be the process of rising up this the energy totem, so to speak. That is getting into the new school teaching, if you will, spiritualism.
You rise up through the Taurus. I don't think so. No, not with your physical properties. I mean to cut you off. I just came through.
No, through meditation though, right? It's not a physical thing, but through meditation, you can rise up through the toroidal field.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you define meditation as in you're interacting with the field around you. So like, yeah, in spirit, can you rise up through the toroidal field? Well, I don't think you would ever flow backwards in the stream. I think that it's the same direction, and rising up actually is going to be coming. You're actually like if you poured water at the bottom of a bowl that's curved at the bottom, it would hit and go to the side. Now, the water obviously is going to come. It's not a perfect example because the water is obviously going to come back down. But where you're flowing, you're becoming a physical being on that plane of inertia. And the consciousness that you have, and the energy that you have, and the electricity and the magnetism that makes you up and makes your body up, that those principles are gonna remain once the dust and the meat puppet that makes up your body is gone and is dead. Those principles are going to remain, and it moves and it continues with the whole flow to where it will wrap back around, and then you could eventually at some point, and this is like the basis of Buddhism. And the Bardo Thodol talk is going to get into that too. And we could be going on for hours about that. I do need to go, and I know Killian needs to go, but yeah, we need to continue the conversation at some point. And definitely, if y'all find my YouTube channel, Big Skinny Matthew, I'll put up my email address. So connect with me. I'd love to connect with everybody here. You guys have some pretty interesting ideas.
Yeah, we'll set up, like I said, we'll set up a panel with yourself and a couple other people, and throw the ball around with regards to the universal spiritual energies that we interact with. We can unpack a few ideas there. But for today, man, thank you so very much for the great session. That was amazing to sit down and throw the ball around.
Absolutely, man. I had a great time. I always enjoy talking to you, man. And thank you all, everybody who hung out and watched and asked questions. That was awesome. Anytime. But you have a good one, and we will be talking. We'll be talking soon.
Sounds good, my guy. Be well. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Have a wonderful evening, friends.